Oh no! So how do you hollow out a curved body? Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome to King Bespoke Creations. We are hollowing out the front and back faces of this Archtop guitar. So we've got this nice curve on the outside, and we need to have the same on the back. So this is the inside edge that needs carving out. Now we could just go at that with some chisels and just be really careful that we don't get too thin. But I find that a little bit scary at the minute. I don't have, and what I probably should have for this, are really long calipers where you can test the thickness of things, and they've got arms that go right the way in. But I don't have any of them. I should probably get some. So I'm going to try and do something a little bit clever. I'm going to use my pillar drill and turn it into a pin router. And what that does is it brings the drill point down up to a fixed point here, so you know that depth that the drill point comes down to, and it's not going to go any further than that. Now, little side note though, that's not going to get us all the way in, because I've only got a small pillar drill, so it's only going to get round the edges. It's going to leave a block in the middle that's going to be untouched, but by the time we get to the middle, that section's kind of flattening out, so I can skim that off and we'll make it work. I hope. Well, I think so. Anyway, on to making a pin router. Right, so first you're going to need a chunk of dowling and a block of wood. Okay, and we're going to stick that in there so that the dowling pokes up. Probably not as long as that though. The reason that we need that is because we need something small that can follow the contours that we've created on this outside edge. If I just use the flat base of the drill press, I won't get into these concave areas, and that drill will come all the way down and poke out of this area. We're safe around here, but not as it curves upwards. So this dowling will create the base that can fit up and down and go through those recesses quite nicely. Right then, so we've got our block in place with the chunk of dowling. So now what we need to do is set the depth correctly. So what I mean by setting the depth is making sure that that bit can come down and can't get any closer. Now currently that's probably about 3 or 4 mil. I might just go a little bit more than that for now, especially with the Forstner bit that's got that point on the end. I don't want to go quite so thin quite so early, just in case it all snaps under pressure. You can see how the pillar drill pushes down and actually angles the piece flat to that dowling on the bottom, giving you the perfect result. Right then, so we've gone all the way around almost with the Forstner bit to go around the edge. There's an awful lot of drilling to do on this, but I've realised I haven't really come to a final decision on the shape of the back yet, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is what we're talking about. It's this neck area here. So this is the back of the guitar, and originally I'd carved this off to follow the heel of the neck that we're making, but the more and more I think about it, the more I actually want to chop this off. So I'm going to cut this section off here on the back edge, which will leave that area of the neck as the heel in that different wood. And then we're going to do something a little bit fancy with that. But for now, what I need to do is cut this section off so that I can final shape this area. It's not going to be a lot different from what it is, but just to make sure. And then we can go back to drilling out and I know that I'm not going to drill through to the other side. So we've gone all the way around. That's a lot, isn't it? That is a lot of drilling out to do there, but a damn sight easier than trying to guess with a chisel and slip. Right, now that we've finalised the shape, we can get back to some more drilling. Getting dusty in here. Right, so I've got past most of the tighter curves that tend to be on these shoulder sections. So what I've done, and you can see it's followed that quite nicely on the inside. So what I've done now is I've swapped the Forstner bit over to a 16mm. I don't know if I'm being brave or stupid, but just to try and take a slightly bigger chunk off, because it's a flatter curve, it shouldn't poke out the sides, we should still be pretty safe, because there's still a way to go. Well, there we are. You can see there's this big chunk in the middle, this kind of bicycle seat shaped lump that I just can't get to because it just beats in with the pillar drill. So we'll have to go through that very carefully by hand. But it's done quite a good job of it. Certainly shifting to the bigger Forstner bit made a huge difference because it meant that we can overlap each hole better, which helps with keeping the bit cooler, and it just cuts cleaner, and everything worked really nicely. So next task for this section that we can get to with the drill, I'm going to swap that over for a bullnose router bit and try and just smooth all of this out, so that all I need to do with the hand tools then is go through with a curved scraper just to get that all super flat and looking lovely. And we'll need to obviously tackle that bit somehow. So we've put the bullnose router bit in there and readjusted so that we now have a 3mm gap on there. So that's all I'm going to get, is that 3mm all the way around. Right, okay, so I've just tried a little bit with this bullnose bit inside here and it works. It's fairly flat. It's definitely a beautiful 3mm thickness all the way through, but I can't hand on heart recommend this as a process to go through. The drilling part, spot on. The bullnose router bit is too random. Okay, and what I mean by that is it still kicks and jumps. So because we've got to hold this with one arm, it means you've got a hand on here and I'm using my gut to move it around, this relaxed muscle, as Paul Sellers would say, and it works, but it's scary as all hell. So I think there's a 50-50 chance that you'll clean this out beautifully and probably lose a finger in the same time. So I honestly can't recommend this as a process for you to go and do. Those long caliper things, they're looking quite shiny at the minute. Well, I persisted with the bullnose bit on the drill for a little bit longer, got round to about here, but no, it's just too dodgy. The number of times I nearly lost a thumb. So we're using a fairly decent gouge chisel with a decent bend on there, and because we've gone through with the Forstner bit, each of the drill bits has an extra little dent in the middle where the point on the Forstner bits goes. So all I'm doing now is taking the chisel and just getting rid of the bottom of each of those tiny pits, which is not far off the same thickness as that. And then again, I'll just kind of level this section off widthways as I go through. Might be a while though. Well, there we go, one hollowed out body. It needs some tidying up and I suspect I could spend many more hours doing that, and I probably will. So what have we learnt from this video? Firstly, pillar drills are great when you use them as a drill. Don't use one as a router, they're not great. You're quite likely to lose a finger or just wreck your piece and it's all going to go horribly wrong. Hollowing out with a chisel isn't as scary as I thought, and that was the whole reason why I was trying to use the pillar drill as much as possible. I was scared of chiseling through and poking out the back. I will definitely use the Forstner bit technique again, which is where we get all these tiny dots up here from the bottom of the little points of the Forstner bit, because that gives you a set depth that you can then use your chisels with. And I came to the conclusion as we were working through this, I make things for the fun of making them. I don't make this guitar because I need a guitar. I make it because I want to. I don't want to use nasty machines that want to rip my arm off. I want to actually get in there and use my hands for good. So why bother trying to skip around the stuff that's actually fun? So I hope you can find something fun to make over the next coming weeks. If you get a bit of a break over Christmas, why don't you escape to your shed every now and again and just pick up a couple of tools and start making something just for the fun of it. Until next time, sharpen your tools and I'll see you soon. God bless.